Hello everyone, I hope everyone's doing well. Well, this video is about the period of adjustment. This is my personal opinion of how I feel. I know there's been a few videos done out there on fiancés who's come to the United States or other countries, but this is just, like I say, my personal opinion of it. Period of adjustment. This is probably one of the most happiest days of both of your lives. Your Filipina fiancé is coming here to marry you and to start a family and a new life here with you. While this is a truly joyous time, it can be extremely stressful and could have some things that you probably might not be aware of. This is not a stereotactic, but just a couple things that I'd like to share with you. Your paper journey afar is over. Now you can start your life together here and continue your paper journey. Well, the first thing I'd like to mention as far as that is the period of adjustment is culture shock. Your Filipina fiance may not know what to expect. I hope that you had an opportunity to show her by making videos of your city and your neighborhood so she has an idea, kind of like what the demographics are, what type of people, if there's Caucasians, if there's other Asians, African Americans, Latino. America is a very diverse group of people, a lot of people. Some people live close together and some live kind of spread out. You know, if you decide to live in a huge city, she might be aware and familiar of living in a huge city like Manila or Cebu, but if she's from the province, some of the cities here are just huge, like New York or San Francisco or Chicago, and she may not be used to even that lifestyle here. One thing that's really different is the amount of people in the cities like Manila and Cebu. There's a lot of people, but in America we have a lot of people here as well. So unless she's not used to that or seeing that, that'll be a big shock. I know there's this stereotype that everything in the movies is how it is in real life, and it isn't. One thing that's really kind of different the second thing that's kind of different is that she'll be going through is a period of separation of losing her family, her friends, her acquaintances, her co-workers, everything. Everything she left behind to come over here to be with you. And that could be a real big shock too. I know there's Facebook and now there's a whole bunch of different sharing social media apps that you can stay in contact, but it's just kind of still not the same. In 2011, when I was involved in bringing my lady over here and all that, it was pretty expensive, you know, to have to do all the stuff by video calls and everything. There's a very limited amount of programs and apps you could use. And back then, we used Magic Jack, and it's a whole new thing about that. It's a long story about that. But as I was saying, that always, you know, kind of be aware of that, you know, just a whole new environment of people around her. And if you're divorced and you're marrying, it's going to take some adjustment and some love and patience if you have other children. So you have to kind of be aware of her and her needs and being sensitive to what she's going through, and also the adjustment for your kids. I'm divorced and I have 3 kids that were on and off in our life during the period when my wife was here. Now it's just my little Amanda and us. So one thing to be kind of aware of the dynamics of that, and how you're going to deal with situations, problems, and misunderstandings. Another thing, the weather. Oh my goodness, we live in wild weather, Wisconsin. Literally, can be one day it can be really, really hot and humid, and the next day it can be really cold. So Filipinos live in a tropical environment, and it's basically warm year round. I know there's some areas in Baguio where it's cool year round, but generally speaking, the Philippines is really hot. Here in Wisconsin, can be really cold, -20, -30 when school closes. So it's really cold and can be very harsh. Even for me, I've told my wife that before, I always be prepared, keep an extra jacket or sweater in the car, a little blanket, have a little down blanket, and an umbrella, because you never know when it's to start to rain. One minute it could be really, really sunny, and then 10 minutes later it could be raining. If you're not, what was the saying, that if you don't like the weather, just wait 10 more minutes and it'll change. That's how it is in Wisconsin. One thing about Wisconsin, that we really don't have the 4 seasons. Here it's kind of like through the months of September through March to May, it can still be really cold. Our winter can start anywhere right after Thanksgiving and go right up to literally May 1st, and then June through September it's hot. We really don't have like a real big spring or a real big fall. It's kind of quick if you don't go act quickly to take pictures and do things, or you don't go up further north, in the plains, you can't see everything change. The weather and the flowers and everything bloom like you could, let's say, in California, where they have more spaced seasons, and you can tell it's a little bit different. They're less harsh. Here it's pretty harsh, like 6 months winter kind of and cold, and 6 months the heat. So that will take some used to getting to for her when she comes here. A lot of people are inside. A lot of people, have to kind of get used to that. But if she's outdoorsy and doesn't mind fishing and skiing or tobogganing in the snow and doing winter skiing and just doing different things and doesn't mind the cold, make sure, like I say, long johns are really good. Down, a lot of good things that you could get so she stays nice and warm. And I know that it might take a couple years for you to adjust to the weather, if at all. Another thing too, if you're working and she's home alone, that's probably when the thing, number 4, being home alone, is just kind of a real hard thing. So if she's home alone and both decide that she wants to be a housewife and stays home and to raise a family, or if there's children already here, unless there's other people around, it can be kind of hard when you're alone. So it's important too that you send text messages, you call, lunch, or your break, and check on her, see how she's doing, because those lulls and periods of time can be lonely, especially if you're not around. You're the main person that she knows, and all her extended family and her future in-laws. It all depends how warm they are and receptive of her, and hopefully they're really receptive and embrace her and treat her really good as a family member. There's one thing too, number 5, language not being her primary language. Sometimes misunderstandings can happen, and that you need to have a little patience, and if something's not understood, explain it a different way. Sometimes in the Filipino culture, I believe that they just might go, and they may not really understand. So be sure to explain yourself, and I know you could ask, do you understand? Or I don't want to be insulting, but just certain things, maybe you want to repeat it back or something, or just write it down, so that way you don't put someone on the spot. But that's kind of, like I say, up to you, and how your level of communication is and relationship is with that individual there. Number 6. I don't want to go into this one too much. I could do a whole new video on this one by itself. Got to look this one up, guys. This is called Amor Proprio, self-love, and Haya, shame. There's some people who've done a really good job on that in the video about the Filipino culture. But If you do some research on that, it'll be beneficial to you, but with maturity, communication, love, understanding, and sharing, and having that little level of communication is really important. But to say the thing or the dark side about the Filipino culture and about that, I'll just sum it up in a nutshell. I don't want to have a relationship with my spouse where we're not talking for 6 days, or she's upset and you don't know what you did to offend her, and I think it's really a horrible thing. So do a little checking in on that and find out and make sure that you won't have that situation and how to resolve that. Number 7, Fil-Am Group. I mean, I was very fortunate after bringing my fiance here, getting married. I was looking already before she came over here how I could do things to support her so she feels better about being here. And that being, it's actually 2, it's number 7 and another number. The Fil-Am Group, we met some wonderful people who were in the same situation as we were, and that they were either going to get, they're Caucasians, they're African Americans and Latinos, who either went to the Philippines to find a love of their life, and they came back here and they married their fiance in the United States, or actually there's a few in our group that married over there in the Philippines. But it's really nice that every once in a while, sometimes we get together on Christmases, Thanksgiving, not on that day, but on around those other period of times, week before, a couple weeks before, to get together and spend time with each other. I think it's an awesome, wonderful thing. The guys get together and they talk about their experiences. We all kind of share a common bond of the things that we went through, whether it be the traveling or the misunderstanding and the expenses and the legal process. So we can kind of just joke around about different things. You can talk about friendly politics, if you can believe such a thing. Talk about sports, whether it be basketball, football, or whatever we like. And like I say, mainly kind of what our experiences that we had in the Philippines and with our in-laws, and we kind of help each other out and talk about different things. And it's been really nice. We get to see our kids grow up together too, and their experiences that they heard of and they saw when they're in the Philippines. And it's very good. And same thing with the Filipino ladies too, and the women there. They can converse in their native tongue, and they can talk in their language and keep up with their practice, because if you don't use your native tongue, you don't use it, you lose it. But they can talk too about the same things, their experiences, what they have with their in-laws or their family, or even their husbands. And hopefully if they say 5 bad things, they say 5 good things too. But in all due seriousness and joking, that they support each other, they swap recipes, they talk about different things, places they want to go or where they've been, and their experiences they had coming here, and how much of a struggle and positives and the negatives of them coming here and everything. Some of them have to share about their dreams, or whether it be going back to school, college, or starting a new career, or moving, or what they like about their particular state. But I think that's really good. We do secret Santa gifts during Christmas and things like that, and Thanksgiving, and sometimes people would get together and do different things. We're kind of spread out, but I think it's really wonderful that we can all get together, and I thank all of them very much. I care about them, and they're in my daily prayers. Another thing that before my wife came here, my fiance came here, is that we joined a group called FAWAS. It's the Filipino Wisconsin Associations, and that it's a group of any Filipino could join, or anyone. We paid our dues, and allows you to go, and they have different fundraisers. They have professional people there, doctors, nurses, very successful people, and they have big huge events. Sometimes it's a really nice formal restaurant, and they have it catered, or they go simple as doing playing bowling or doing different activities, or a picnic, and they have different cultural shows and things that they put on, and it's really nice. They have a thing that's really big here in Wisconsin with the nurses, that our doctor, surgeon, Dr. Sing Song, she was at one time the leader of the FAWAS, and she does a big, huge clinic. She's the director there, and they allow anyone who's indigent or has medical needs to come once every month. I can put a link in the video, so anyone here in Wisconsin, if they don't have medical insurance, that allows people from all over to come over there and take avail of that. It's free of charge for people who don't have medical insurance. I think it's a wonderful thing. Filipino nurses and doctors, and they have supporters from different agencies that donate medical supplies, and they donate their time. I think it's a really wonderful thing that the Filipinos do to give back to the community. Back for the next thing. The extended family, kind of touched on that, and then I guess that's kind of pretty much it that I really wanted to say. But if you have any questions or comments, please email me or put a comment below. But that's kind of my 2 cents on that. Take care, and sorry about my hair. Due to the COVID-19 thing, my barber is very selective of how many appointments he can see a day and so forth. So trying to get in to get my hair cut, but I thought I'd be brave and jump in front of the camera and say hello and share this with you, because it means a lot to me, and I'm very happy